All right, today we're going to give you guys a tutorial on a Polaris 4-stroke snowmobile and how to change the engine oil. We were a Polaris dealer up until 2017, and so we sold these from the beginning, and this motor never really changed. So if you have a, I want to say like 06 would have been like the first year. If you have an 06 through, they kind of made them through like 16 and certain models, your process is going to be the same. So lucky for us, we still have like the manual, and we have the Polaris tool. You're gonna want this jumper wire to do it the correct way, and we'll walk you guys through on how to do this. So the first thing we do is we open the hood here, and now that that's open, we have a left-hand side panel. This is gonna have to come off, and same with our handlebar cover. This wire is gonna run from down here up to the handlebar here. So to take your left-hand panel off, you just pick up on it and give it a good pull. This one's an 07, so it comes off pretty easy. If it's newer, it might not come off quite so easy. And down here on the bottom is where we're gonna plug this wire in. Oh, so if you guys want the part number for the wire, let's see here. This is the Polaris part number. Comes in the oil change kit. It is 401-1491. And Tom's telling me that if you buy the Polaris oil change kit, you will get this. So it might not, it's not a Polaris dealer exclusive part. So this is our starter solenoid. You can see the solenoid here. And we're gonna wanna tap into here. We need power for this. So he pulls it apart, we rotate it, and then now he's gonna take that, and you're gonna plug it into the solenoid side.
Open side there.
So open side on the solenoid side here is where we just plug this into, and now we can take the handlebar pad off. And to do that, we just have these two little clips that there's no tools needed. They just slide into their channel. We'll pull this cover off here. Okay, and then this is just laying up here. This is where we're gonna tap into. And the reason why we're doing all this is we have to pump the oil out of this system here. So it's got a 3-prong on both sides. They match up perfectly.
Browns have to line up.
Okay, so our browns have to line up on this. I guess you could probably plug it in the wrong way. So
no, there's tabs.
Is there tabs? So
it only goes in one way.
It only goes in one way, but just to confirm, brown on both sides there. So just to make sure. And then we're gonna come down here, and what we have to do is take a relay out. And I think we don't want the machine to start, correct? That's why we're. So the reason why the relay comes out is we're gonna use the key to crank this, and we don't want the machine to start. And on this, I saw on the cover here, it tells you which one, the EFI relay. And he's just pulling it out now. Sometimes tweezers work great, but so the relay was the top one on the right hand side here, and this is gonna prevent the machine from starting now because we're gonna use the key. And what we have to do next would be we have to disconnect this hose because this is where the oil is going to pump up and out. We just started this machine outside, so it's warmed up. We don't want to touch any of this. We'll cut to a clip real quick to show you guys how to check the engine temp. So we'll do that now, and then we'll come back. All right, so what we're going to do outside is just kind of show you guys how to find out what your temperature currently is of the engine. Right now you can see it's in the miles per hour. And if I come back over to the handlebar here, the screen button, I'm going to hit up on it until it shows the temperature. So let me hit it once here. I hit it once and you can see it's already showing the temperature. And because it's been running for a few seconds, it's already at 43 degrees. It's about 15 degrees outside right now. So we're going to let this get to 150 degrees before we go inside with it. So 150 degrees, and then we can do the engine oil change. All right, so the machine's been outside, it's warmed up. So what we're gonna do now is we have to pump the oil out of the system. And we do this with this upper hose that goes into the oil tank here. So we're taking the clamp down, and then now we can disconnect that hose on the top. And we use this is normally an oil sucker that we use for like chain case oil, but it works great because you can kind of lay it right here. We have a big container to use. And so now the hose is nicely tucked in there. And so in the directions here, they say to turn the key and hold it for 20 seconds, and then you have to wait 30 seconds after that. And they want you to repeat this cycle 5 times. So 5 cycles. So what we'll do now is I'm going to turn the key, and you really can't see the oil because this container is not clear, but 20 seconds. So okay, so now we're going to give it 30 seconds, and all we're going to do now is we're going to repeat this process 4 more times, and then we'll come back and show you guys what's next. Okay, so we did the key trick with the return line into our container. Sometimes it takes more than 5 times to do it. So if your 5th time it still is pumping quite a bit, I would recommend go maybe 6 or 7 times. Again, let it cool down in between. So return line's going back on, clamps going back on. And so now we are done with our jumper wire, so we can remove all of this and reassemble the handlebar pad, which is very simple. They're pretty soft and flexible. Yeah, there's little push pins right here on both sides. Just kind of pinch it together with a pin. The pin kind of holds it until you get the sleeve on it. And then down here, we're gonna fix the jumper wire. We're gonna remove this, and then now we can disconnect our solenoid and hook it back up the correct way. So I disconnected it, and now I'll disconnect it back together. And what I did while we were jumping this, I like to use a maintainer. It's just great to keep your battery topped off. This is one of the Yuasha maintainers. It won't overcharge a battery. I just hooked it right up to the terminals. So we like to use that just to make sure our battery is good for the customer. And then now we can put our relay back in. So we're done cranking her over. The relay's back in, put the cover back on as well. And then after this, I'm going to leave the side panel off because the next step is going to be removing the air box to get to our oil filter. And it's hard to see with the air box on, but that cap down there, we'll get this air box out of the way so you guys can see, but we're aiming for down there. So next step is taking this off, and we'll do that next. So the next step in the book, they want us to remove the key so we don't bump it because there's no oil in the engine. That's been removed. And we're gonna take the air box off now. We have one clamp up in the front here, and we just get to that with a pair of like blue pliers. You pinch and remove the clamp, and we can slide the hose off of it. So that hose is off, and then now we have the actual worm clamp that's connecting the air box to the turbo. And so now that's been disconnected, and all we're gonna do is pull the air box out, kind of out from the front, because it clips into the back here. There's no tools or parts needed in the back. It just slides out. At some point it does anyway. There we go. You can see these tabs that were into the frame here. So we do that to get to our oil filter. And sometimes these can be miserable to get off. We've had them break. We've had massive breaker bars on these. So we just come in right away with a pretty big breaker bar. We've even had to weld stuff onto it to get it off. So this one was pretty easy, but we're just going to warn you that sometimes it doesn't go to plan like that. And again, this is for our oil filter. It's a cover, and we replace it with this oil filter. So our oil filter part number is 0454822. It comes with a new O-ring in there as well. And I can break this open, show you guys what comes in here. So new O-ring and filter, that's what we're gonna need there. So now all we have to do is unscrew the cap off. We'll get this up and out, and then we'll show you guys what's inside of there. So that's exactly what we're seeing on the way out. This is where our O-ring is gonna go that we're gonna replace. We've got the old filter in there. That one definitely needed to be changed. It's good you brought it in. Got the new paper filter here. And then a screwdriver sometimes help us get that O-ring off of there. And here's the new one here. So we'll get that changed next. So we've got our new O-ring on, and just to show you guys, we use a 27mm socket. And while we were away, we got our torque wrench as well. We set this to 17 foot-pounds. That's what the manual wants us to do. So now we're going to reassemble the oil filter. Kind of have like one line coming off the turbo that you might have to hold out of the way like we are here. We just screw it on, and then we're just going to torque it to 17 foot-pounds. There we go. There's 17. Awesome. And now what we're going to do is reassemble our air box. We're going to line up these pegs, hook up this breather, and then our worm clamp in the front. We're going to hook back up to the turbo. And it's kind of hard because you got this packet of wires that's holding the air box there, so it's not like you can take it completely off the machine. We're lining the booty up for the turbo down there. Slide it on, and then we'll tighten our worm clamp back up, and then up in here we've got our breather back on, and we'll put our clamp on. So after we tighten that and the clamp, we're going to put 2 quarts of oil back in here inside the compartment. We just unscrew the dipstick. The manual wants 2 quarts in first, and then we'll go from there. Okay, air box is back together, and now we're going to remove our dipstick. And Polaris wants us to add 2 quarts. Comes in the Polaris kit. This is a Polaris PS4 oil that we use. So we're going to put 2 quarts in directly. And after you put 2 quarts in, Polaris wants you to restart the engine like we did earlier. You're going to let it warm up to 150 degrees. Well, between 140 and 160, we just go to 150. And you only have 3 minutes after you start the engine and warm up the temp to check the oil before the oil level drops. So even if you're just checking your oil and you don't want to change your oil today, the only way you can check your engine oil is to start the engine, warm it up to temp, and check it within 3 minutes. And to properly check it, they want you to screw your dipstick in all the way and then unscrew it to check it on the level here. If you just set the dipstick in, it might not screw in all the way and you might not get an accurate reading. So we're going to add our second quart in here. We'll put the dipstick in, and then we're going to, from there, we will go outside and start it. All right, we just brought the machine back in. She's super warm. And we'll take it out, clean it off. We'll reinstall it here. And we'll screw it in because that's what the manual wants to get an accurate reading. And this one's low for sure. You can see we're down here. And Polaris wants us to add 2-ounce increments to get up to here. So we'll add some oil into it to get it topped off. I appreciate you guys watching. This was Jared and Tom from 3C's Recreation. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe. We're big into power sports. We love to ride. So stay tuned for more info on a lot of different types of videos. Thanks.